Hey guys, thank you for checking out our video. My name's Sean Elders and this is Pinnacle Combat Arts. Today we're going to be talking about deflections, the difference between deflections and blocks. Let's get started. One of the things that when I was coming up in training and learning from different masters and stuff like that is that one of the things I learned real quick is if you look at how the curriculum in Filipino martial arts, the curriculum was always, they taught at the beginning was blocks. They would teach and they would have what they call, you would call reinforced blocks or checking blocks. And they would do this kind of motion like that. See? And they would, every position, whatever it was blocking. We'd block and block, block. And so, like for instance, Danny Nasano, he would watch these old timers and they would spar and he would go, I never see him block ever. They only deflect the attack and come in and attack. And so what he started to do when he started to teach was change doing this type of block, because in the old days, they would have you feed, they would block it with the assistance, and then follow up with whatever type of motion they would follow up, okay? And what would happen was the process from being able to deflect, to block it and follow up, and that process and speed, when they got into sparring, they weren't able to make it happen. And so Danny Asano, what he did was he started to go, okay, well, let's change this a little bit. And so he evolved it, and even with me, I've evolved it with my students where I don't even like to use the word block, because block, what it really represents is you're taking on all the force. And so when I'll say like, for instance, back in the day, we call this a roof block. I call it a roof deflection, because really you're going to either deflect it this way or you're going to deflect it and make it go that way. You're not going to allow or take on that full force. Ideally, you don't. And so one of the concepts I want to throw out today is start to think about everything that you do. You try to deflect, evade, and you want to get out of the way of it, okay? And try not to take on the blunt force, because when you take blunt force on, that delays your ability to counter. And that's, I would say, is the most important thing. So it's all has to do with, in fighting, everything has to do with timing. Besides all the other staples that are super important, timing is key, because if you don't have timing, you're not going to be able to defend the attack or evade the attack, and you're not going to be able to counter the attack, because you have to be able to see the opening and take that opening, or be able to identify the attack and be able to evade the attack. When we talk about evasion, we talk about deflecting, okay? It's very important that you understand this. When he gives me that number one, okay, this is that reinforced block, okay? When I take that force straight on, it's gonna take me a moment to be able to then come back. The likelihood is that you're gonna block, they're gonna hit, and then they're gonna hit again. Because you're taking on that force, that means that force goes back like this. Your ability to come back and try to attack is gonna be less. So the idea is, for instance, when we do the roof deflection, okay, there's two ways to go about it. When I'm in my position, I can bring that attack and bring it this way and clear the line to go here. Or when the number one comes in, I come in and I attack on this line doing that position. And so that is the idea of today. That's the idea. Gives me number one. So I can go to the inside, okay? Or I can bring this weapon across, which gives me that position to attack. So when we think about this, there are 4 different ways to do it. I'm just going to give you 2. I come into this position, I'm passing this attack, then he does the same thing. Boom, just like that. So boom, just like that, crossed. Okay. So this is more in largo mono range. You're doing this, okay? Okay. Then we have the meter mono range here. See? We give that number one, boom. You can shield, boom. See? Okay, so that's the idea. You want to make sure that you are not blocking, you are deflecting, okay? And so when we talk about, for instance, he gives me the number 2 on this side, I do what they call shield. So shield like this, okay? Instead of taking on all the force, you are moving. You're going here, and then I'm coming in for an attack. So again, he gives me that number 2. I'm coming into this position here, okay? And then I can come into attack. I'm not taking on the full blunt of it. I'm coming and continuing on. Because if I take on the force, boom, and it presses me like this, how am I going to come back and attack? I'm not. So we have to use footwork along with body mechanics to make sure that we do it properly. So same thing with the outside deflection. When he gives me a number 2, I'm coming in and I'm deflecting that. See that? It comes in, I'm bam, bouncing it off, and I'm coming in and attacking just like that. 1 and 2. See? 1 and 2. So with the 3, when he gives me a 3, I'm coming in the inside like that. See? See? Or I can come on the outside. Boom, like this. And then come in to that position. Now that would be more largo mano, but it's still deflecting. You see? On this side, I do the roof and I go here. So I'm ricocheting it and coming in just like that. Or I can do it from this side. Boom, and I'm coming in. Notice I keep stepping off to the side. So what you have to do is you have to start to incorporate this into your contra sombrata, for instance, okay? 5 and 6 are the same. The diagonal angles up are the same, just like that, are very important. So you have the roof like this. You can bring it this way or this way. You can also do the inside deflection. See? Boom, and I can come here, you see? When I do that inside deflection. When I do the inside deflection there's also differences between the edged weapon and the stick. And so you have to also practice that as well. So when I go here, when I'm using an edged weapon, I have to stay there. See that? And then what happens is I disengage, checking the hand, and then I come in with my own attack. He deals with the attack. See? Just like that. So, see how I'm changing lines? When I go here, I'm changing lines. When I thrust, I'm changing lines, okay? When I come here, I'm changing lines. And it also gets me closer to where I'm attacking, okay? So when I go roof, I'm moving. And I do a 1, I'm getting closer to my attack. See that? So when I do the roof, we'll do it slow. I'm moving towards where I'm going to attack. He deflects it, see? Then when he comes here, I move this way. And then I thrust, I move forward, okay? And then I move this way, see? And then he moves this way. When he does that roof, he can move that way. Go do that. He's going to the inside, okay? Go back over here, yep. And then when he gives me that number 1, I'm moving this way, see? I kind of go here. He does that thrust, yep, and I go to the 2, yep. And so when he gives me that thrust again, I'm just moving off to the side. I can move off to the side. I'm deflecting that attack. In fencing, we call that a parry, okay? We're parrying that attack out of the way, you see? So that's the first level of deflection. And then there are other levels of deflection, believe it or not. Later on, I can teach you that. But this is the first level. So when you're doing your practice, try to use your footwork to move yourself more out of the way of the action and get yourself to where you need to be instead of where the attack is. All right? Hope you guys liked it. I'll see you next time. Go to our website, pinnaclecombatarts.com. There you can find out more about what I do and the classes that I provide. Thank you guys so much for your support and have a great day.